Let's quickly talk about LLC business lines of credit from PNC. Now, PNC is a great bank. I mean, if you forget about the geographical restriction, the geo restriction, PNC is just a fantastic bank if you happen to be in their geography of choice, okay? If you happen to operate in one of the states where they're present, it's just a fantastic opportunity. So into this conversation, I want to review LLC business lines of credit from PNC. I want to give you a granular review so that you actually have, I want to give you a granular investigation so you have a clear idea what you're getting yourself into if you were to go with PNC and in terms of their LLC business lines of credit. So let's give you the overview here. So you have the unsecured LLC line of credit, and then you have the secured LLC line of credit. Let's first start with the LLC small business, like the LLC small business line of credit. The thing is that you have no collateral required, right? It's unsecured, so no collateral, and you can be approved for anywhere from 20 grand to $100,000. This is really good. We love the fact that PNC will help you get the funds real quick. Like we've seen approval within 1 to 3 business days, which is kind of cool. If you need the cash real quick and you happen to have a great relationship with PNC, they'll take care of you. You take care of them, right? So, and this is kind of cool. Now in terms of payments, the payment amount is 1.5% of the balance or a minimum of $100. Okay, so PNC has a different strategy, a different payment strategy when it comes to repaying whatever you have charged on the business line of credit. Okay, and there is an annual fee that comes with this LLC business line of credit. It's $175 every single year. And by the way, boss, welcome back to the show. It's really a pleasure to have you here. And we love to have every now and then a convo about LLC business lines of credit from PNC, Truist, from Wells Fargo, from, So if you want to apply for this business line of credit, unsecured LLC business line of credit, you can apply online. You can apply at a branch. You can apply in person. Okay. So if you want to apply in person, you have to make sure you have a branch around you. If you want to apply over the phone, you have to call 1-800-762-5684. Monday through Friday, they're available from 9 a.m. to 8 a.m. They work a little earlier nowadays. So they work from 8 a.m. through 6 p.m. Eastern. Okay. So let's talk about what you need if you want to apply for an LLC unsecured business line of credit from PNC. Okay, what do you really need? Well, you really need a few things. First of all, you need to know the dollar amount, the type of what you're going to use the cash for. It's called the use of loan proceeds. Okay, sometimes they use the term borrowing purpose. Okay, and if you want to collateralize the line of credit, you need to have the collateral information. Now, remember that you don't have to collateralize it, especially this one is unsecured, so there's no collateral required. Okay, but you need to have the dollar amount. So because PNC will ask you, how much does your LLC need as a business line of credit? And you're gonna have to say it. You're gonna have to say, listen, we need 25 grand, we need 30 grand, we need $100,000, whatever. But you need to actually substantiate why. You need to justify why you need that much. Okay, and so they will need like your LLC legal name, your street address, your phone number, your email address. Okay, and they'll want to see also your EIN. So this is really important. And if you are a single member LLC, they can accept in very exceptional cases that you actually give them your social. So because PNC sometimes they think that and they are right, by the way, because they're not the only one who thinks like that. You have the IRS also, and their thinking is if you have a single member LLC, in some circumstances you are just more like a sole proprietorship. Okay, and the PNC also wants to have other types of info, right? So they want to have like information about any person who owns 25% or more of the LLC, the LLC on behalf of which you are applying for this business line of credit. Okay, so this is important. And if you are, let's say, if you are submitting your application online, you will need to add the personal information of at least one owner, and for any additional owner and guarantors. Okay, this is why, in our view, and we have said this time and again, it's just a lot better to go to the nearest branch and apply in person. By the way, boss, I want to really remind you again of today's topic. We are talking about LLC business lines of credit from PNC, and I'm just giving you an in-depth review. So we just finished reviewing the first type of business loan we have here. We have the unsecured business line of credit for your NC, for your LLC rather. Okay, so this is a kind of cool. Now let's talk about the secured small business line of credit. In other words, the collateralized, okay, LLC business line of credit. So this is actually a line of credit for your LLC that's a little faster. You get the cash real fast, okay, because you have obviously you are underwriting your own loan. You're underwriting your own business line of credit, okay, if you think about it. So you have increased credit flexibility. So this means what? It means that you can actually be approved for a larger amount. Like PNC can actually approve you all the way to $3 million. Think about that. So if you want a secured LLC business line of credit, you can collateralize the transaction from $100,000 to $3 million. Okay, so you have automatic interest only payments. You have easy access, and you get peace of mind. So you can see that basically, and PNC will deduct this from your business checking though. Okay, so they're not going to bother deducting this from a third party business bank account. They are just deducting this from your own business bank account with them. And so what we love also with this secured business line of credit is that you are it's cheaper. Like the annual fee here is only 0.25% of the committed line amount. This is kind of cool. Okay, and we love the fact that in terms of payments, you have monthly interest only payments that are automatically deducted from your business checking accounts during revolving credit period, and the principal payments can also be made by the borrower at any time. So you got to decide. Okay, we tell our clients all the time, if you have the opportunity, even if PNC is telling you just pay us the interest, if you have the opportunity to pay also a little bit of your principal, of the principal loan amount, this is always good. This is always good. But overall, one thing you need to understand here is that if you want to collateralize the transaction, you need to make sure that you work with PNC, and they will send you a specialist, to send you somebody who really understands what we're talking about here, and that person will actually tell you whether or not you are able to use the collateral in a transaction with PNC. So if you want to apply for this secured LLC business line of credit from PNC, you need to have a couple of information. Now, the information is not really that different though. It's not really that different from what you will need when it comes to the other to the unsecured business line of credit. So we basically need information about, let's say, the owners. So the LLC owners, you will need information about, like, they want to see articles of organization. So they want to make sure that you are legit with the state authorities, because this, for PNC, this is kind of critical though. They want to make sure that you are not like you're not kind of running some kind of games in the system, like trying to game the system or whatever. No. So they want to make sure that you are legit. They'll contact the authorities to make sure that your EIN number is indeed valid. Okay. They'll also ask you to provide additional information about your home address. So they'll ask you what type of organization you have. In this case, it's LLC. Very easy to say. And they'll ask you also things like about your business plan. In some cases, depending on the line amount that you're requesting, PNC might ask you to actually provide a business plan. And if they do whatever they ask you, though, be very careful, and you want to answer promptly. Okay. By the way, boss, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. We're having a quick convo about LLC business line of credit from PNC. Okay. And one thing I want to say here is that when we talk about business line of credit, the secured, you can only get like $100,000 all the way to $1 million, in some cases $3 million. Okay. So I want you to really think about the magnitude here. We're not speaking about smaller amount anyway. We're not speaking about smaller amount anymore. If you think about it, back in the days, for you to actually have, let's say, if you want to get a secure business line of credit, some banks will just give you $250,000. okay, because they were so scared about losing everything. But nowadays you have big banks like PNC actually embracing the whole trend. So we love this a lot. But again, remember, you can actually start the conversation at 1-800-762-5684 between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. Okay, so this is just a way for you to actually start talking to someone and you have a conversation, like a real conversation. Let me give you a few pro tips here. So the thing is, the PNC actually offers several business lines of credit, right? I mean, I gave you two, but within those two, you have different subdivisions, if you will, or subcategories. That's the better word, not subdivisions. How can you have subdivisions for a business line of credit? So you have subcategories for your LLC business line of credit, right? And it's important to understand that whether you want to go with unsecured or secured, you got to have the underlying collateral to back up whatever you charge on whatever happens, okay? And it's really important to understand that the PNC lines of credit offers like their lines of credit offer variable APR products based on our experience, but they do not disclose their rates on their website. But they are between 8% and 15%. That's what we have been seeing, like, and it's also important to understand that, PNC actually does have some limitations in terms of what you can spend the money on. That's why I was just talking to you earlier about the use of loan proceeds, the sacrosanct element of use of loan proceeds. So there are some industries where, like, PNC is not really interested, but overall, you can use the cash for the regular business purposes, like you have business debt refinance, you have emergency repairs, you have equipment purchase, you have hiring, you have inventory, you have marketing, you have payroll, you have technology investments, and you have a lot of things. And you got to really see the best way for you to get your LLC business line of credit from PNC. It's really important, again, going back to something I've said 1,000 times or 1 million times, to actually parlay your existing relationship into a great business funding arrangement for you, okay? This means that if you have a problem, don't go online and really just lodge your complaints and just forget about it. No, you want to speak to someone, because see, the thing is that someone whom you spoke to, they'll remember you a lot more easily than trying to really speak to someone over the phone or online all the time. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it if that's the only way you can talk to a live person at PNC for your LLC business line of credit, then go ahead and do it, okay? But otherwise, you are good to go. Now, one last thing though, PNC does charge an origination fee, okay, in some cases, and they do charge also an online fee, so every year. So yeah. And it's really also important to understand that you actually, to qualify for a PNC business line of credit, you need to have, let's say, again, I'm just sharing with you what we have learned ourselves in the last 15 years. PNC loves it when you have a minimum credit score of 600. Now, if you happen to have the regulatory items on your credit report, and those items are not as high on let's say PNC's credit list, whatever you have in terms of the regulatory items will not actually affect anything. The point I'm trying to make here is that if you want to qualify for a PNC business line of credit, make sure you take care of yourself. You take care of stuff happening in your personal life and also your business life, okay? And because to actually apply for this LLC business line of credit, you need to provide the recent, recent bank statements, business formation documents, driver's license, government issued ID, and proof of identity. Okay, so this is an important element, because the bottom line here is that you have to make sure that whatever conditions you have, whatever criteria you have, you stand a chance, because it can be very frustrating. that you've done everything, like you've done your work for 3 months without telling anybody, and all of a sudden, like you just stopped and you realize, oh, okay, it's not really what I was expecting. So it's always important to really think about this, the multidimensional elements here. And one thing I want to say also is that to qualify for a let's say a PNC business line of credit, besides everything I'm telling you, like credit score, beside your proof of longevity, blah 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 blah, you need to generate the revenue. You need to have the cash. Like I'm talking about real cash. You need to actually generate the cash so that PNC can see you as a viable candidate, so that somebody can actually meet this person, and say, okay, let's just have a conversation with them because we can see something changing here. One thing I also want to say here is that you need to also pay attention to, if you are trying to get your LLC business line of credit from PNC, PNC tends to pay attention a lot to things like business certificates, okay, business license, business bank accounts. Now you might be sitting there and say, you know what, why does PNC care about those things? Well, they do care about those things because that's who they are. You're not going to change them, okay? So if you are, the next time I want you to think about business lines of credit from LLCs, just make sure that you speak to people, like to the people, so that you are clear about, like I'm talking about people who have actually gone through the process and got approved from PNC. That way you can actually ask them how they did it. But normally you want to have a business certificate, your business license, your business bank account if needed, because I mean you only need one bank account with let's say with PNC. But if you don't like, for any reasons, you don't like PNC and you want to try something else, well, you can definitely try something else, not a problem, okay? And it's also important to understand that you have flexibility in terms of your activity, how, like, flexibility in terms of how you choose the topics you work on, okay? Now, to answer your question, like another question that we have had from some of our viewers, like, does PNC report your activity to the three business credit bureaus? Yes, if you ask. You got to ask. Otherwise, by default, they do not do it, okay? If you ask, then yeah, they will actually report your data, and your data will show up in a few hours. One thing I also want to say here is that you also need to make sure that you are in a situation where you are constantly adding value, okay? Constantly. I want to assist on that because this is going to help you a lot. One thing I want to say also is make sure that you actually have a way to repay whatever you decide to apply for. If you apply for $100,000 in the business line of credit for your LLC at PNC, make sure that you have the right wherewithals, you have the right resources to pay this budget, this sort of line of credit back in time, because you have to choose a loan amount, you choose a line amount that is in sync with your business volume, and also the kind of work you've been doing yourself. So this is a mistake that a lot of rookie business credit business owners rather. This is the kind of mistake that business owners, those startup ones, they make when they're trying to contact, for example, players that want to contact PNC, they want to contact Truist, they want to contact BMO, they want to contact a lot of players regionally. So this is kind of cool. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. In today's conversation, I was just talking to you about LLC business lines of credit from PNC, and so we actually went through a few things. I shared with you a few pros and cons that you can implement to sort of come on top. Okay, so this is really important, and I just want to remind you that for PNC there are two types of business lines of credit. So you have the unsecured one, then you have the secure one that has like very crazy amount of stuff. But yeah, I'll see you next time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.